Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a comprehensive strategy for working with the Blue Z water, how to enhance the water, and how to get extremely effective, affordable home program for detoxification and for dealing with very challenging health issues. So the Blue Z water, as we have talked about in several videos, one of its key features is its ability to create activated oxygen. And when we can get that oxygen therapy deep into the cells, that starts a tremendous detox process. And as we've also talked about, the water has the ability, as it creates this turbocharged oxygen therapy, to pull off also all the byproduct of oxidation. As everyone knows, oxidation can create a lot of health issues such as free radical damage, and people are always looking for superior antioxidants. Well, it's extraordinary in this oxygen therapy that all the byproduct of oxidation is carried off. So if you were to burn a wood stove and you opened up the wood stove, and there would be no soot, no ashes, a totally self-cleaning stove. So that's an extraordinary phenomenon. Shimonishi does talk about this as basically the cause of aging. One of the biggest causes of aging is the byproduct of oxidation. So when you use oxygen therapy skillfully and you can clean up its own byproduct, this is like effectively burning a big pile of wood, and being able to, the wood in this case would be the toxins in your body. So it's about the completion of the burn. So the reason we never really can detoxify properly is because we don't know how to create a turbocharged burn that completes its own oxidation cycle. So today we're going to talk about various ways that we can actually throttle the Blue Z water's oxygen therapy. Now, we've shown you videos using the Ozone Machine, and they're listed on our site and our YouTube channel. And that is one very important way where essentially for about an hour and a half, by using that Ozone Machine, you can boost the water's capability to create more activated oxygen. And that will increase the detox rate. The other thing we also talk about is the fact that when you do that, you get less Herxheimer or detox reactions or healing crisis. Basically, you get better results and you don't feel the aggravations, the headaches, the flus, whatever the side effects of detoxification. And logically, if you think about it, even just burning a big pile of garbage, if you had a really great flame, you would have much less smell. You would effectively, if this burn was strong enough, the flame was strong enough, big enough, you can effectively burn just a standing bunch of garbage with less of that byproduct. But if you had a very weak flame, which is most of our typical oxidation process, you get a lot of smell. It's like you half burn the garbage. So using the Ozone Machine is one way to increase or throttle that oxygen therapy and get a cleaner burn, and that effect lasts for about an hour and a half. Now, as we also mentioned, using the Ozone Machine by itself in ordinary water, the effect would only last about 15 minutes. So what it's really doing is throttling the water's ability to create activated oxygen. Now, the water is working 24/7, so you don't need to throttle all the time, and you have to judge that based on how toxic you are, how sick you are, and really how much energetic push you need to get through whatever you're trying to deal with. Now, once you do this therapy, and you can do this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day, as often as you like, basically about every hour if you're doing it intensively. There's a third thing. We have videos on our website showing how to use about a rebounder and what a rebounder does. And that video shows it with the energy enzyme blend, our other formula, and how it works as a pump and filter program. So one thing about rebounding that's very important to understand is that every time you go up and down, it's like squeezing a sponge. You'll see that in the video. If you were trying to clean a filthy sponge, and that's much like our cells, you would want to have this squeezing effect. You wouldn't put a filthy sponge in a bucket of water and just swish it around. You would literally squeeze and release it, then you would dump the water and do it again until you got that sponge clean. Just the natural thing we do. Well, jumping on a rebounder is literally When we come down, it's the squeeze, and when you come up, it's the release. So when you come to the top of your bounce, you're literally no pressure. It's zero gravity. So gravity is causing, the shift in the G-force is causing a squeeze-release effect on the cells. So once you, let's say you're doing this turbo boost and you ozonate the water, and then you get on the rebounder for 2 minutes and you just bounce. You don't want to push it. You want to make sure you're careful. You're doing this. So you're going to get much more effective turnover on your cleaning rate, much like using an agitator and washing machine versus just throwing the clothes in there. So this increases the rate of cellular cleanse, and once you do this therapy for a few minutes, you're going to feel fantastic. There's a fourth feature that we also want to talk about. Now we have again shown some videos on using the breathing mask. So why is this so important? Well, it's very simple. Here we're now delivering a bunch of oxygen therapy. We're pumping the cells. But what is one of the main culprits in trying to get well is the fact that the system, like think of a garden hose, it constricts. It pinches down. Most of us, due to stress, literally our system is in a state of constriction. So when the garden hose is pinched, you cannot get the water through. I don't care how much you turn up, open up the valve and try to pump water through. It's just not going to go through. And in fact, if you try to push too much water pressure through a pinched hose, you can blow out the hose, which would be equivalent to a stroke. So basically, how do we get the garden hose to deconstrict? Well, with a garden hose, if it's bent, you just unbend it. It's pretty simple. Well, basically, in the human system with the stress response, this constriction process can be reversed using this breathing practice. We're going to post a link below this video on our blog, Breathe Like a Yogi for Dummies. Please read that. It explains the simplicity of the physiological process and how to reverse it. In a nutshell, when we're stressed, we overbreathe. When we overbreathe, we get rid of too much CO2. And believe it or not, CO2 is the gas that helps us to relax, helps the hose to deconstrict. It's a vasodilator, and it also causes the nerves to relax. So when you do this practice, you'll actually feel relaxed. You'll start to unwind. If you're in a state of panic or having an anxiety attack, you'll, in about 20 minutes time, feel much, much better. But you're training your system physiologically to breathe less, to relax, to slow down. As a result, everything opens up, and voila, you can receive much more oxygen. And that's the whole point of the breathing practice. The Russians were working with all kinds of diseases, teaching this simple philosophy. So now, if you can allow in way more oxygen, and then you have this turbocharged oxygen therapy, and you're using the rebounder once again to just pump that therapy deep into the cell. Now we have this great water that can clean you, and we can pump it deep into the cells. You will have an amazing protocol for cellular rejuvenation. And let us remind you two other features of the water. One is that it's super hydrating, so the cells will become way more buoyant. And also, don't forget the black microminerals. After the cell is detoxified, these incredible trace minerals go into the cell and help that cell rejuvenate. So if you stick with this practice just a few months, if you've been struggling with all kinds of health issues, get that oxygen deep into the cell, get the minerals deep into the cells, get the cells hydrated, start to unwind and relax and break the stress cycle using these simple breathing practice. You will be very grateful, and you'll realize that it's not as complex as you thought. Now, we can go on further about using other nutritional strategies for various systems. If you're trying to rebuild various systems, let's say the adrenals or the thyroid, or you have a lot of structural issues, this is going to be a foundation therapy for whatever else you do. And it's very simple, it's cost effective, and the water, as we all know, is very inexpensive. It's $36 for a 6-month supply, and the Ozone Machine is about $70 for the life of the machine, which can used properly can last you many, many years. So what you're really creating here is what you would have to pay $10,000 to do if you went into a high-end clinic in a European hospital, and you can create this amazing, simple, inexpensive home therapy. Please understand that it's critical that that the core foundation of the system is to increase the amount of profound oxygen therapy deep into the cells, and at the same time to deconstrict the whole system so it can receive this therapy. If you can understand these two simple factors, and that you can easily do this at home using this protocol that we recommend, you will see incredible results, and we would love to get your feedback. Remember, people, everything does work better with Blue Z water. It's the foundation for this protocol. Using some simple skill and wisdom, you can take this water and make it an incredible tool for your health and well-being. Thank you. Be well. We'll see you next time. Take care.